Do the intro.
Are we live?
Not that I can see at the moment. Yeah, we're live.
Okay, so we are live. Hello everyone. I'm Alex and this is Paul. For whoever doesn't know us, we are both Run It Once coaches and we also run a private CFP dedicated to low stakes players and a YouTube channel. We do some streams. FNC Poker is our Discord, our YouTube channel. And today we're gonna run some hand reviews. It's gonna be some hands that we received from our Discord community members. If you're interested in joining and if we're gonna do these streams either here on or on our channel, you can feel free to contact us there and send us some hands as well. So yeah, it's gonna be some hands from the community. If we have time, maybe some hands of mine as well. Gonna go through them and share our thoughts, and then if needed, we're gonna also check with the solver and see what that says. If we start arguing about the hands too much, we have to have an impartial bot to go through them.
Should
Um,
probably happen.
yeah, most likely. Also, Run It Once has some really good offers for this stream. I hope Paul will help me put the commands in the chat. So, first of all, you can, if you use the code STREAM, I think you can get one. So, if you upgrade during the stream with the code STREAM, you can get 2 months of Elite or Essential, I think, free. So like 1 month free on top of a month paid. There's also a last chance to get a discount for all the MTT courses and also a discount for the annual Elite membership. As you might know already, there's a lot of good content on Run It Once, a lot of good coaches, different approaches for both like cash, tournaments, Hold'em, Omaha, mixed games, so probably one of the best content you can find out there. Um, have you managed to send the commands, the links?
Yeah, the discounting stream has been sent in there. The sound apparently is very quiet for everyone. Can you turn it up?
Um, no. No, I don't know what the issue with this is. I have a very good mic, but sometimes with Streamlabs it starts being very low. I'm not sure why that is.
On that right side mixer, if you scroll down a touch, see it says mic/aux.
Yeah,
Maybe to
it's maximum.
put that all the way up.
It's already all the way up.
Can you put the microphone closer to your mouth?
Yeah, it's as close as it can be, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that sounded better for me. I guess that's as good as we can get it. If you wanna start jumping into some hands, then.
Yeah, okay, so I've never seen these hands before. Paul hasn't seen these hands before either, so it's a surprise for all of us. We have queens in
Wait,
the.
wait. Can we change this to big blinds? I can't work this out if it's in dollars or euros.
Uh,
Is it possible?
I never used this before,
No.
so I don't think so.
Okay. All right. No worries.
Okay, so it's a two big blind open because 10 divided by 5 is 2. And we face a 3-bet. There is a 3-bet from the button. Is it quite a big one or is it just me?
No, the 7.5, right?
Oh, okay. And we go for a cold 4-bet. Are we playing deep? Not really. This is 20 big blinds, right? Okay. Seems fine. Under the gun calls. I don't think he should have a lot of calls in here, should he? I think it's mostly shove or fold, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not completely sure here. I guess calling some hands is gonna be fine. But yeah, probably is maybe just. I mean, yeah, I don't think we want to shove a hand like aces here, right? So I think maybe like aces. Even kings maybe is like a flat. Some kings and ace king, maybe queens shoving, something like this. Not completely sure.
Yeah, it seems a bit of a
I
little
mean, this
bit.
guy's a recreational player, right? Under the gun, so we don't need to worry too much about what
No,
theory
I
is here.
don't. I mean, when he sent me the hands, he said all of them are against rags, although he's a bit
Okay.
short stack, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, he just called and we go heads up to a flop of king, queen, king. Yeah, I think I would just range bet this one. Although, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how his range is supposed to look. I guess he wouldn't have a lot of ace king here. We probably have pretty much all of them. So yeah, pretty big range advantage for us, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd bet small.
Okay, we do go for a small bet. They call. I could swear this was gonna happen. What are your thoughts on this turn?
Probably the worst turn in the deck for our hand, right? But then good for our range. Although, yeah, I mean, if we're range betting, I think it's good for our range. Although we filter under the gun's range when we bet, so like maybe he is just then more concentrated around king X on the turn, despite us like beginning with more ace king. Um, Obviously, with our hand, we're just in a bit of a weird spot because if we bet here, we're not really getting any. I can't see what worse is going to be calling us here, right? Like he's probably not going to have much tens or jacks. And so we're in a spot where I think like what would we get value from if we're going to be betting here? We would need to have some bluffs to go with our king X, but like that's probably the hard question: is how you gonna be choosing bluffs here?
Well, I
I
guess
wouldn't.
you probably want to unblock a queen, right?
I think well, like, yeah, that, and also I think we'd probably want to have an ace, right? Just like blocking some ace king.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would just probably always give up on this turn.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, he can have aces probably here close to full frequency. So yeah, I don't think we're getting any value. I don't think even if he has jacks and tens, I don't think that calls here. So I agree with you. I think I would just check this. Goes check check. River is a jack. Hmm. Once again, I don't think there's much value to get here. And I also don't think this is the greatest hand to turn into a bluff. I mean, we have a little bit of showdown value, and also our blockers aren't great. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
I think I would just give it up. The question is if we check and they bet.
Yeah, I mean, we were probably always going to face this, right? If it's being tagged for review.
I
Um,
I guess so.
yeah, I mean, it's such a grim spot. I think once we check, like in position, should probably bet turn at like a very decent frequency, I would imagine. Um, like how often is someone actually going to bet quads on the turn when we check here, right? Maybe they delay too much into the river line. But I don't know, like still with a king, um, you're gonna want to bet a bunch like for small size on the turn as well. So, mm, like his value range is quite thin. I mean, once it just goes once we check as out of position here on turn and river, he's probably just able to also just end up just shoving aces as well, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so he's got
And
a bunch of those. He's got some king X. Um, I think I would just I I don't really like calling with queens. I think I'd rather call with aces here if we're gonna have a bluff catcher.
yeah, I agree.
Just
And
sorry,
the
go on.
the other thing I'm thinking about is like this, it's a cold 4-bet pot versus under the gun from the big blind. So already the ranges are very, very tight. And, it might seem like his value range is quite thin, but we need to remember that the ranges are quite narrow to start with. So he's not gonna have a lot of value, but he's also not gonna have a lot of bluffs. Therefore, I don't think we need to be that wide here and call with queens. I think we could have some trap king X. I think we can call aces, and in such a tight range scenario, especially because we
Yeah,
might start bluffing
even
turn.
like yeah, sorry, I was gonna say even like ace queen makes like a better bluff catch than this, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Does it change for you at all? Davide says that Under the Gun is a strong reg and Button was a recreational player. Um, so potentially there could be something to be said about like wider ranges pre-flop with the Under the Gun player wanting to get involved with the recreational, depending on how much of a recreational he is. Like if he's a super whale, like maybe his range widens a bunch.
Yeah, but on the
And
other,
like one thing I was going to say is just like obviously I agree with you. Like it's just a really like terrible spot. I think we have better bluff catches. When we do get to river, I think like his value is probably just like aces and then ace king. He doesn't probably have a lot of ace king, but he probably does have a bunch of aces. Especially with the recreational behind, right? That's just like such a supernatural call pre-flop. So yeah, I think overall we both agree this is just probably going to be a fold for us. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I was just gonna say about the recreational, like if this guy is a strong rag, yeah, you have a big recreational in the pot, but at the same time, it's a it's a cold for bad pot, so the SPR is going to get much lower, and you're still sandwiched between two players. So I don't think you can realize a lot of edge anyway. So I don't expect this guy to just show up here with a bunch of like sevens, eights, nines, stuff like that, even with the recreational in the pot. So I don't think in this scenario it changes that much.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and we
Okay,
fold.
yeah, we do. Nice.
Okay, nice hand. Are there any other questions about this one? Do you want to run it through the solver or anything, or should we just go to the next one?
Nah, I think we can jump to the next. Absolutely sucks when we flop a set. Or flop a full house though and end up folding river.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
but
blind v blind, nice.
it doesn't suck when we have the discipline to do so. And if you
That's
lack the
true.
discipline to do so, you can contact the mindset coach. I do that as well. Okay. Blind versus blind spot. Been studying this quite a lot in the last year, so yeah, hopefully I can have some good input. Um, yeah, is this okay? This is 200 big blinds deep. So I guess in general we probably want to be a bit more careful. Two broadways on the board on a monotone board are generally not as great for us. However, exploitatively, if we bet really small, I think we can probably gain some EV. Like betting one big blind usually works quite well on these boards against players who are a bit weaker, just because they have to defend a lot of unintuitive combos. They have to find a bunch of raises, and if they don't do that, we are probably allowed to see bet way more. Otherwise, I assume these are going to be quite high frequency checks. um, any opinions on this?
No, I was just gonna say, but if during all your study you never studied monotone board blind v blind, right?
No, I
um,
always avoid them.
yeah, I don't think many people will have. I think like one of the negatives here, in a way, is that the queen and the ten are high cards, right? We're gonna have more flushes containing high cards, whilst big blind will have maybe more containing the lower cards. I also wonder, like I'm not sure here, but like who the advantage really goes for, because big blind is going to be three betting a bunch, right? And even like the offsuit ace x hands are going to be three bet a bunch as well. Whilst we're going to have lots of those like offsuit ace x that contain the ace of diamonds at a higher frequency. But yeah, I think like we can bet small here and drive our betting range around like the 10x and the queen. And that's probably what I would lean to. I don't think I'd range bet this spot, but I would bet at a very high frequency, just given that I think players in position are likely going to massively overfold this spot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. We do go for a check here, which I think it's fine. I don't think there's a huge EV difference here between betting and checking, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's fine with this hand.
Sorry. Okay, turn is the Jack of Diamonds, so basically now we have the third nut, if 9-8 of diamonds is a thing.
Yeah, I think I was going to say in this spot, I think like big blinds on the flop. I think they've players very often just end up just betting a lot of their equity driven hands on the flop. So I'd expect to see 8-9 just probably always betting flop. I also think that a lot of ace X of diamonds, ace 3, ace 4 off, ace 6 off, ace 7 off, these type of hands probably going to bet on the flop at a very high frequency. So once we just get this turn, I think we very often just have the best hand. And then it's a question of how do we make the most money with this hand, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if we do think they're betting very equity driven, and very often I think we are perceived to bet a lot of diamonds on the board on the flop as well. So on one hand, we could think, okay, he probably doesn't have as many diamonds as we expect him to, so maybe not that many hands to call. But on the other hand, we might think, okay, if we check the flop, he's probably not going to expect us having too many nutted hands here. So, yeah, again, I think in game I would make this decision. I think in a solver it's probably gonna be a very high frequency bet, and I would probably bet this high frequency. However, if I have some reads that this guy is a bit over bluffing or, fights for pots a bit too much, I might find the check with this one as well.
Yep, sounds good.
We go for a small bet here. I don't think if we bet we want to implement very big bets. I don't think that makes much sense. So, yeah, I like this. They call. River is the 8 of hearts.
Why do you think we want to use a small bet on turn?
Because usually in these configurations, ranges being so wide, we want to be allowed to bet a bit thinner for value. So I personally don't implement two sizes on these turns. So in order for us to be able to value bet, lower flashes and maybe even some two pairs and stuff like that, I think we should use a small size. And ranges being so wide, and especially if we have some c-bets on the flop as well, I don't think we should construct our range only around hands as strong as these. So yeah, I guess if you want to implement multiple sizes, maybe you want to have bigger ones as well. But if you implement one size, I think with our range, a small size works better.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just wonder whether on the turn, this turn, I'm surprised that would want to be betting with something like two pair. I would imagine that we would primarily just want to bet flushes, and I would say that the 4 of diamonds is quite a strong hand here. If we had pocket fours with the 4 of diamonds. So I would have imagined that we don't bet very often, and then when we do bet, because like we just have a lot of like 10x, Queen X, Jack X, right, which just isn't really incentivized to bet, and then we have like strong hands, and I would have imagined that we go big or check here. But yeah, I could be wrong.
I guess that also really depends on how you structure your flop betting strategy and then how they structure their stabbing strategy. Because if we decide to range check this board, then he should also check back very, very often. Like his stabbing frequency here, if we check range, should be very low. Therefore, when we get to the turn, I don't think something like 4x of diamonds is as strong of a hand to want to go 3/4. But then if we bet a lot, and then we check, he's probably allowed to stab a bit more often, and then we can also.
So you're just gonna use one size on this turn, you?
Yeah, personally, I would, especially against good players. I think
okay.
the EV of implementing two sizes here is not as big, and then probably the downside of being able to make a lot of mistakes that way is kind of downgraded the benefits of using multiple sizes.
Yeah, one thing I would say just about betting on the turn with this hand is I might be more inclined to continue checking this combo as opposed to something like King 9 with the diamond or King 8 with the diamond. I think it's maybe negative having a 10 in our hand, as we want him to have, some 10x that wants to be called in, or two pairs. But I don't think that's a huge thing. Just so you know, ABC has said that your volume is like 1/5 of the volume of mine, so maybe just hold that microphone close to your mouth or something. Make sure people can hear everything you got to say. We missed a question. So ABC said, on flop, is it correct to assume range advantage on this monotone board whilst net advantage lies with small blind? What do you think? I would think that's... Yeah, I would think that's probably true. And then he also says, why not check turn and overbet river and fold to a raise versus most opponents? If we check turn and it goes check, and then we get the opportunity to overbet on the river, I don't think I'd ever really be folding this hand. I would think that there's going to be way more bluffs in people's range than value, because their value is just going to be ace x of diamonds. And for people to have delayed betting the ace x of diamonds on flop and turn, I think in reality is something that's not really not going to really be a thing. So yeah, I mean, I think we can also check this hand and bet on the river, but I wouldn't end up folding.
Yeah, and if we think of the hands that have the ace of diamonds and want to check back, it's most often, or like most intuitively, gonna be an ace with a pair. And on this board, ace 5 is gonna be ace 5 off is gonna be 3-bet pre-flop at a decent frequency. Ace queen is gonna be pure 3-bet. Ace 10, not necessarily, but it will get 3-bet at some frequency. So I think it's very difficult to find slow plays here. Also, our range looks quite capped when we check twice and then overbet the river. So I think against someone, again, that fights a little bit for pots and has half a brain, it's quite easy to overbluff this because it's difficult to find value, but kind of everything can be turned into a bluff if they want to.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see what we do. We overbet. Okay, I'm gonna sense something spicy. Yeah, I mean, I'm never folding, but like I was wondering whether we can raise. I guess in reality, probably not, because I don't think that people will raise call with worse. So I think this is just a spot we just always just click call.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be quite a polarized spot, so maybe a bit more weighted towards bluffs, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think they have enough worse value to just call a shove, so I agree, I would just call.
Oh wow, yeah. I would never fold this, like, based on just pot odds, right? Like, he doesn't need to be bluffing that often. Like, this is a very big hero fold. Like, I probably just wouldn't have been folding like a bunch of diamonds here. And especially given the line, once he just checks back flop and then just calls the small bet on the turn, his range is just super wide. So like we can just click call here and just lose super often, and this still be a super profitable spot. So yeah, I wouldn't ever fold this.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Do you wanna run this through GTO, maybe see how the spot works?
Maybe maybe come back to it. And I mean, the only thing I'd be interested in is just maybe that turn and just see like what size we use after flop goes check. Maybe if you just want to quickly see that.
Okay. I was looking at live spots.
always always useful to sim live spots.
Well, I was more interested in how preflop ranges change in a big rake and deeper stacks environment, which I think
Makes
is
sense.
actually
Makes sense.
useful. Okay, let's quickly load. Blind versus blind. Obviously, it's not going to be super exact.
Yeah, I would also maybe leave this at 100 and then maybe change it to 200, just because we're going to play this spot 100 big blinds deep way more often.
Yeah. Okay. So
Queen 10-5.
okay. So not a very high frequency. If we look at the natted part of the range, it is quite close, but then small blind has a range advantage towards the lower part of the range, which makes sense, right? Because in such a wide range scenario, it's not only going to be about flushes, but here it also gets about like pairs, batter pairs, battle meter pairs. So yeah, this makes sense. We check the flop, right? And again, you see
Yeah,
very low stabbing frequency here, so they will basically, on the turn, they will have a decent amount of flashes if they do play correctly.
yeah, sounds good.
And the turn was the Jack of Diamonds.
Yeah. Wait, was it the jack? Yeah, I think it was. Okay, yeah, disco small. Okay, nice.
Haven't done that much study, but I've done some. And yeah, we can actually bet quite thin here. I mean, I said two pair, but like we can bet top pair at quite a high frequency still. I mean,
Well,
quite a high frequency, meaning pure.
can you click bet here and just see how imposition is supposed to play? So like ace x, right, is like, yeah, even like ace x right, diamond having to call. What else have we got to call?
I think it's
Just,
maybe
yeah,
easier to
pairs.
go through to filters.
It's just loads of pairs, right? Like 5x, 10x, queen x, jack x, just having to click call. That's where you tagged in here, and then yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we bet they call and river was the 8 of hearts, right? And now is where we can implement two sizes.
Yeah, I think something to notice there is like king 10 for us is like or like king queen, king jack, king 10. A lot of these are just checking with a diamond. I guess this is to go for a check raise, right?
I guess so. I think it's also this is quite a pattern, you know, when we have a pair like that, we kind of unblock their checkbacks as well. Like they probably wouldn't value bet a 10 here. So then if they have a 10, they are gonna check back more often. So if they don't have a 10, they are gonna bet more often. And it's in our interest for them to bet more often. I guess that's also a factor why we check the 10x
Yeah.
frequently. I guess we go for an overbet here instead of pot.
Yeah, I don't think we need to stay on this too long. Like, I think the turn was the most interesting part, and then just a big takeaway. The biggest takeaway from this hand is just like hero folding that river, right?
Yeah, well, I was wondering if it's ever a fold, but yeah, we can just move on if you want to.
I mean, you can quickly just have a look if you want. Just press over bet and press click raise. I don't think it's.
Something like this?
I don't think it's ever possible to fold it, but then also like how would a human actually play in this spot versus solver? You know, like a solver's still gonna have strong hands on the river. Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that exact hand, but you know, king high flush is just
I
always
mean
a call.
it's always a call that says it's low EV, but like yeah, I
Yeah.
think you have to have big blind player playing very well to get to the river with those sort of with hands that'll make that close in EV.
Yeah, I agree. Should we jump to the next one then?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, we three bet king queen of hearts against the cutoff from the button. Pretty standard. They call. Board is king 8 deuce rainbow. Personally, I would just range bet on these boards, and I think I would size up a bit. So usually my range bets would be like 25%, but a king high flop that is this dry, I think we can just go 40% with our whole range to maximize our range advantage. And yeah, don't think they can do much about it.
Sounds
Any
good.
thoughts?
No, sounds alright.
Okay, we go a quarter though, something like that, 33, around that, whatever. hard to see without seeing in big blind. We're not the greatest with maths. Okay, turn is a 9, and I guess usually when we range bet the flop, we don't really filter our range, and they do, so we kind of have to be a bit more careful with our turn frequencies. But king high is so good for us that I think we can keep barreling very frequently. And yeah, this hand is just super strong, so yeah, I think I would barrel it like 90% of the time, something like that. Maybe I would
Yeah.
find a very occasional check back, but mostly batting. Any other
Yeah,
thoughts?
sounds good. No, I think it's good.
Okay, we find the check on the turn. I wonder what Hero's reason for checking here is. I guess you could find some exploitative reasons to check, but most often I would just bet.
I
I
mean,
wonder.
maybe he's just doing the same as you, just arranging some percentage of check back.
Okay. Um,
One thing I would just say about like checking back on the turn if you're going to use King X is I think I would um I think it may be better in some way to use Ace King, just because like when you bet small on flop, villain's going to be calling with like some Ace Jacks, Ace Queens with backdoor flushes, and then when you check on the turn, you're allowing those to like sort of catch up, and your Ace King is completely invulnerable. Where like King Queen is a little bit more vulnerable. Um, and like it's basically the same value strength, right? Like King Queen here as in position is basically worth the same as Ace King anyway. So I think if I was gonna start checking back on turn, I would maybe just use a little bit of Ace King and then probably always just end up betting this.
yeah, I guess that makes sense. But on the other hand, if you look at it like that, you also block some river bluffs with the ace, right? I mean, you do with the queen as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so we guess the river.
and he bets small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Davide said that he just randomized some check on turn.
Okay. Yeah, here I would always raise. I would
Yeah,
probably shove. Oh,
yeah, I think I would also just shove. Yeah, just pure shove. I think. Don't think I'd use any other size.
Um, what would you do here with queens?
Queens.
Yeah, let's say we have queen of hearts, queen of diamonds.
Um, Maybe shove. I think I'd maybe still just shove that hand. Like when this guy bets, he's not really saying he has a king, right? Unless he's just using one size, but like
Yeah, he doesn't just have a lot of king X in his range starting from pre-flop, you know. He just has the
yeah,
suited
yeah,
ones. They're really blocked by the board. And if we double block king queen, I think that's strong enough to shove, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think queens I would just jam as well.
And we raise small, and if he sends us this hand, I assume he's gonna shove, right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe out of position shows.
Of course he does.
I just hope we don't find yeah, I mean I hope we don't find a fold.
Yeah, I wouldn't fold.
Alright, cool.
And we're beat. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
see
think
I was just going to say, like, this is quite interesting, right? Like, because it's from the same player. How, like, in this situation, we've ended up click and call, and then in the other hand, we ended up click and fold. Where this is like more of the situation I would imagine, where like folding is reasonable. Like we're in a tighter range spot, and we bet on flop, right? So we filtered his range. Okay, turn went check check, but then on the river he block 3-bet shoves. It's like that's much more of a spot where there's going to be like a real struggle to find bluffs compared to the other spot we just seen, which I think we were facing better pot odds. The ranges were super wide. It was super like super broken line, right? Like check check flop, bet small turn.
yeah. Yeah, and then like I was going to say I don't think actually folding is unreasonable here when he takes this line. I think like I take this line quite often where I bet small just because I want them to raise thin and then shove and they can't fold. I think, against some players it's more than reasonable to fold here sometimes. Um, but yeah, what I was going to say is that that's why I don't really like the raise size, because I think in this scenario he's either gonna have some thin value bets and think, okay, I looked capped, and
Mm.
he knows I'm capped and he's gonna bluff this. Yeah, I don't expect him to check a lot of king x on the turn, blah blah blah, and might find a lot of hero calls. And then we just get the money from his hero calls. But on the other hand, when this happens, it's like when he has a strong hand, he takes all our money, but when he has a bluff catcher, we don't take all of his money. So that's why I
Yeah,
think shoving here is much better than raising small.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so these are all the hands that we received. I have some other hands, but they are unfortunately in screenshot form, so not that appealing to watch.
Yeah, we can have a couple quickly.
Okay, let me just get them right here on the screen. Okay, so yeah, what happens here is we 3-bet big blind versus cutoff, and we decide to check the flop on Jack 10 5 with a flush draw. For me, this would be a polar bet spot, so I definitely wouldn't range bet. And also, I think as we get deeper, I mean, this is just 130 big blinds deep, yeah, but still a bit deeper. I think we also want to be a bit more careful. So Queen Jack, I think it's kind of, maybe we can bet it sometimes, but it's kind of a marginal hand. Also blocks a lot of draws a lot, King Queen, which is quite a good amount of combos that would call. So I decide to check the flop. I think he bets something like 40%. I call. Turn is a 3. I check. He bets 3/4. I call. And river is the 8 of hearts. I check and he shoves. So the idea here is, I think in theory this should be a bluff catch at some frequency. I remember in game I was like, I guess. Like I would mostly bet my strong hands here, like aces, kings, ace, jack. I would bet them quite often, and then if I don't bet them, I would check raise them very often, or maybe check call and then check raise the turn. So I don't actually have a lot of bluff catchers here. The guy, like, if I was playing against someone who I have reads on, or I know he's passive or just an unknown, I would always fold, but he did seem a bit, like active, putting a lot of bets in, but it's not like I saw a lot of showdowns. I mean, it's very possible he just hit good cards quite often. So I remember in game I was like, I guess I'm gonna call this like 30% of the times, and I rolled low, which I don't think, I'm not sure if I like it, I think um, maybe, like, judging by the MDA, also blockers and so on and so forth, we block his most common bluff, which is gonna be King Queen, and on this board where flush is complete and we're also a bit deep, I think it's just gonna be generally quite underbluffed, and maybe we can just fold all the time. But yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this hand.
Yeah, we're deeper as well, right? Like I think I would just end up
130.
pure. Yeah, I think I'll just end up pure folding by river. Like what did you say? You went 40% on flop and 75% on turn. Like even turn seems like a little bit of a grim spot to me. But yeah, by river, I think I would. I think you should maybe just end up pure folding this hand, and then I think it would be better um to call some hands like ace 10, like maybe even something like ace 5 is a better call here, and maybe other jack x in your range. Like I guess if you're going like Polo, you're not always going to bet ace jack on flop as well, right? So yeah, I think I'm not a huge fan. I mean, at least it was only 30% of the time you called this.
Yeah, I'm still a station, but a bit less of a station.
Or 70% less devastation.
No, I don't think I would have ever called this 100%, but yeah.
Yes, you would have. Don't lie to the audience.
I wonder though
um,
if this was an eight of clubs or something like that, would they change anything for you?
yeah, I think it would definitely change some stuff, right? Like less of his natural barrels get there. But like, yeah, a lot of his natural barrels here are just make a flush on the river, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the more
Yeah.
I look at this hand, the worse it seems. I'm not
Yeah.
sure why.
All right, jump to another one.
Yep. Okay, this was just a c-bet spot, but I think it's quite interesting. So basically, he three bets big blind. I'm cut off. I think he made it a bit smaller, so I defend. I would still mix this. It was quite a high rake environment, so yeah, I think it's a mix, especially against big blinds, where I don't think people three bet the big blind enough, especially against earlier positions. But anyway, I end up calling, and then he bets a quarter on this flop. So yeah, I'm curious if you'd ever call this. The old good monotone board.
Sorry, I was just checking the stream, and then I was also going to post one of the discounts in the stream. What did you say? What happened here? You open?
I open, he three bets big blind, I call. This is the board, he bets a quarter.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
think you
wondering.
probably. I think you may have to, right? Two overs and a backdoor straight.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure, that's why I say I think these boards are gonna end up being very um overfolded. I think like I was thinking this is probably indifferent and we maybe have to call like 30, 40, 50% of the times. I don't think it's a pure call. I don't think it's a pure fold. Um, but I know like my first intuition, like my first thought was like, fuck, monotone board. I have nothing dominated over cards. It must be a fold. I wouldn't fold pure, but yeah, just save this hand because I wanted to check this, and I think it's the kind of spot where you have to make a bunch of unintuitive calls.
Yeah, yeah. These are interesting spots, and they are like yeah, quite difficult. Obviously, that's why like betting small and very often works really well. I would say yeah, he went a quarter, right? Like I don't know. I think I think continuing this is going to be fine, but like folding it, I guess, is okay. And then just as long as you double check afterwards, like how you are meant to defend versus the quarter. Um, yeah, then that's all I'd say on this.
Yeah, I did check, and it's indeed indifferent. I think it was defending like 60% of the times or so. So it's not wrong to do either or, but if you fold all these combos, then it's getting really bad.
Yeah, like it's a shame on Unibet. Obviously, you can't keep notes on a player, and they can change their alias a lot. But like, I would just keep in mind if you were playing in a pool where you have reads or notes on a player, that he bet this for 25%. Because like, I think these are the types of spots where people can often just fall into the trap of like nobody's really studied a nine high monotone board cut off this big blind, right? So I think it's a spot where people end up just doing what their hand wants or like what they like perceive the spot to be a lot more, and then that might lead people to using different strategies in the future. Like a lot of people use something like 10% at a very high frequency on monotone boards, right? So um, you know does his range change when he uses a quarter, and if so, like in what way is he trying to get more folds on the flop from these type of hands, right? And then when he's got a flush, he goes for the 10% or whatever it may be. Obviously, in this hand, it's irrelevant, but like yeah, I would make a note of that in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, especially for viewers who, play in fields where they face the same players all the time and you can keep notes and
Yeah,
have hands and so on and so forth.
yeah. I think again, it's only really useful if you're playing against the guy quite a bit.
Okay, do we have time for more hands? I know you said you have to leave early.
Yeah, we can do one more very quick one, and then I'll have to shoot. But yeah, just for everyone, obviously, that's watching, just to let you guys know that Run It Once are having their sale on at the moment. Summer sale, so you can get the tournament courses, the mindset courses, and you can also get discounts on Essential and Elite at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, jump into this one then. What's this?
Thanks for that. And also, if you like our approach to poker and you want to discuss with us more hands, feel free to join our Discord. We're also enrolling more students into our CFP right now. So, again, if you're interested in that, feel free to contact us. This hand was button versus cut of 4-bet pot. So I 3-bet, cut of 4 bets, and I call. Board is 5, deuce, deuce, and he checks. I decide to check back here. Yeah, so my thoughts in game were like, I don't really want to get check raised with this hand. I would probably have to fold, but yeah, sometimes I would just fold the better hand, I imagine. And then it's not like I'm getting a lot of value from worse hands. I assume in theory they should probably call some hands like king queen, king jack with the backdoor flush draw. But I think in reality they are just way more inclined to bet those hands themselves. Therefore, I thought I don't see a lot of merit in betting this hand. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think I would just check this back very high frequency. Also, I think it's just nicer here, like being able to dominate some of his checks. So if he's, 3-bet king queen suited or ace jack suited, ace 10 suited type of hand, and he's decided to check those on the flop, it's just nice to dominate those on some of those turns.
Yeah, I agree. So we check back. Turn is the 7 of clubs, and he goes for a 40% delayed c-bet. I decide to call just because, again, I think he could, of course, low play some aces, kings, but we do have, we block aces, we block some queens if he ever slow plays that, and also if he ever has kings, at least we have one out. We block a hand like ace 5, which he definitely could 4-bet and check the flop and then just delete c-bet for value. And we also unblock all the flush draws. So yeah, I thought this is strong enough to call on the turn. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just do the same as you, end up clicking call. I wonder if in like theory, this is maybe the combo that ends up folding a bit more because when he checks flop bets turn, it's maybe more of the heart combos in his range because clubs, spades, and diamonds are going to be more inclined to bet flops. But again, like I think this is, yeah, I would just always click call. And I think the reasons you mentioned are really good.
Okay, cool. Wow, so we don't argue about hands. This is not fun. Okay, and then on the river he checks. And I thought about it, and I decided to shove, just which I'm again not very sure about because first of all I think they're not going to protect their checking range here too much. Like when they take this line like bet check flop, bet small turn, and then check river. I also think a lot of players could just have a bunch of ace king here, which I don't think they would find a call with, even though sometimes they probably should. So in general, I think this spot would generally be overfolded. I think again he might also have a hand like ace 5, although we block that and it's just 2 combos left that wanna bet turn for value, get value from flush draws, and then just get scared when the river is a flush and end up folding. On the other hand, I think I was wondering if I have better bluffs here, because I don't think I would call a lot of like king high or random hands without a flush draw. Like stuff like 4 5 6 5 7 6 7 8 all have a pair. So then I thought, okay, this is probably one of the more decent bluffs in my range, but it kind of blocks everything that I want him to fold, and maybe it has some showdown value. So yeah, I wasn't exactly sure about this on the river. What do you think?
Yeah, this one seems super close. I think there's also something to be said about like if someone does just get here with the ace king off with a club, like do they end up just flicking in the call? And then you beat a lot of the rest of the range. So it's like that would be obviously a negative. But yeah, overall it seems close. I think bluffing seems fine. But I also think we probably have a lot of showdown as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't argued over these hands. They all seem like we have a similar thought process on these.
Okay, sounds good.
Right, I'm gonna have to shoot. But yeah, if you want to do a good outro for the rest of the people watching, make sure that they know about the summer sale.
Yeah, so Paul is leaving me. Maybe we are not gonna argue about the hands, but we might argue about this off screen. Again, for everyone watching, just remember that Run It Once is doing a sale on both Elite and Essential. If you use the code STREAM at checkout, you can get an extra month for free on top of the month that you pay for. And also, you can get discounts on all MTT courses and on annual Elite membership. This sale is going to end very soon, probably even today, so it's a very good opportunity for you to get access to their content, which is a lot of good content that can help you improve your win rate. And also, again, if you want to connect more with us, feel free to join our Discord. And yeah, that's everything for me as well. I'm going to close the stream. I hope there are no questions because Paul didn't tell me about any questions and I cannot see the YouTube chat right now. So yeah, thanks for joining everyone. Hopefully we're gonna host a bit more of these streams. Might be on Run It Once's channel, might be on ours, might be on both. So yeah, if you want to stay connected, also make sure to follow our YouTube channel F and C Poker. And yeah,